Hey guys, how's it going? Matthew Rodella here with another WaaS Wednesday for you. Every Wednesday, we go live, or I go live in Facebook and YouTube to answer one question that someone in the community has asked me either recently or in the past, or that I've heard from students of the course, so that I can better help you build a websites as a service platform on WordPress multisite. So the question that I'm going to answer today is one that I hear a lot. It comes up over and over again, so I thought I'd create a video to answer it. And that is, what kind of plugins, what kind of WordPress plugins can I use on a WaaS? And that's a good question because not every plugin is created equal when it comes to websites as a service on WordPress multisite. So the keyword there is WordPress multisite, right? So if we're building a platform on WordPress multisite, we want to make sure, number one, that the plugins we're choosing are multisite compatible. Now, there are ways around this, but in most cases, you want to look for a plugin that specifically says it is compatible with multisite. What this means is that you can buy a license, and usually it's the top level license. If you look at like Beaver Builder and Gravity Forms and a lot of those plugins, the top level developer license or whatever they call it, it says multi-site compatible or works on multi-site or something like that. And that means that when you install it and you network activate it and you add the license key to it, then it works on all of your sites on your network. If that's not the case, then if you were to install the plugin and network activate it, you would have to go into each individual subsite that gets created and insert the license key. That's kind of the big difference between plugins that are multi-site compatible and aren't. The ones that are, you could put in that license key once, and if you have the proper license to that's multi-site compatible, then that license gets applied everywhere. So some good examples of that are, WP Ultimo, for example. Any plugin that WPMU Dev makes is multi-site compatible. Beaver Builder Agency is multi-site compatible. So all of these are plugins where you go and you might do it in the network settings page, or you might do it on the main site of your network, but you just have to activate it once, network activate it, put in the license key, and it applies everywhere. There are plugins that have kind of a workaround like Gravity Forms, where you have to insert the license key in your WP config file. So in that case, you just have to go to their documentation page and search for how to make sure that the license key is applied to all of your sites. So you're looking for plugins that have multi-site compatibility, have unlimited site license, because again, you don't want to have to keep managing adding more licenses to your account and keeping track of that if you can help it. So that's the big one, right? Look for those plugins that are multi-site compatible. I just named a few companies that make them. We have a list in the Facebook group. If you go to our Facebook group, if you're not in the Facebook group, just go to Facebook and search Turnkey Websites. It's the Turnkey Websites Blueprint community. In there, in the pinned post at the top, I created a Trello board with a list of a lot of different multi-site compatible plugins. So check out that list if you're looking for some ideas or just ask in the group, and people can point you in the right direction. All right, so that's number one. Number two is you want to find a plugin that is easy for your end users to use and therefore easy for you to support. And easy is a relative term, right? You want to make sure that the plugin difficulty level matches the experience of your target customer. So for example, my target customer in my WaaS is IT businesses, computer repair shops, managed service providers, that kind of IT business. And so they're a little bit more technical. So I can add some slightly more complex plugins to my platform, and my users should be able to figure it out. Of course, I'll still get support requests, and I just need to be prepared to handle those support requests, especially if it's a more complicated plugin. Now, you can use plugins like our Key Press UI Manager to hide different menu items about the plugin. So in case, something like WooCommerce or one of these plugins that has lots of menu items, or Groundhog or something like that, you can go in and hide some of those more complex menu items So that way, you're funneling your users through the admin menu to just the specific places that you want them to go within the plugin. So you're looking for, you just want to keep that in mind as you're looking for a plugin. So, are your customers going to be comfortable using WooCommerce? Are you going to be able to support your customers not knowing how to use WooCommerce? If the answer is no, or I'm not sure, or yeah, that sounds kind of difficult, then maybe not. Maybe look for a simpler e-commerce plugin, and that might be another video we can create talking about that. But something to think about. Um, and also, you want to just look for the plugins that are specific to what your customers need. I see a huge mistake that people are making when they build a WaaS, especially for the first time, is they're trying to throw every piece of functionality, every plugin inside the platform. You always want to keep your end user's experience in mind and think about what's going to make this platform super easy for them to use so that they can get to from point A, which is signing up for your subscription, to point B, which is having a completed website, and they have to get there on their own. So you want to make sure it's going to be as simple as possible for them to do that. So number two, make sure the plugin is easy enough for your customers to use or for you to be able to support, either through onboarding videos or through support documentation, or through live support, like a support desk or something like that. Finally, the third thing to look for in a plugin for your WaaS is to make sure that um, it's free of a lot of bloat. And what I mean by bloat is, of course, code bloat, where it's the code of the plugin just has everything in there and it's slowing down the site, but also branding bloat. And that's something that we see from time to time in some of these plugins where they try to make the plugin interface, match their brand with their colors and their logo, and it looks different than WordPress. And so that can be jarring for your users, especially if your users don't know that they're using WordPress or don't understand what WordPress is. They just think they're signing up for a website platform, and they should be able to go in and build out their website and make it easy. But then all of a sudden they go to these different screens that have different logos and names, and colors and links. One thing one of my pet peeves about some of these plugins is that they have links to their support and to their upgrade pages and all of that stuff. So your customer can click that, and then they're off to some other plugins landing page, and they're outside of your support trying to figure out, maybe they contact that other plugins support people, and then they try to log into your multi-site, and they try to tweak it or figure it out and stuff. And you really want your customers using you and your platform as the sole source of support for everything that's contained within your WaaS. And in order to do that effectively, you want to make sure that the plugins you're using don't send them off to other places. So all the plugins I recommend in the Facebook group and in my course meet these criteria. So those are always, the best plugins that I know of for the job, that have minimal or no branding, minimal or no links that take the customers off to some other, website. And you can, and sometimes you have to use a plugin that has those things. And then you can use, again, our plugin, KeyPress UI Manager. We give you just a CSS window where you can put in custom CSS that gets applied in the dashboard. So sometimes I'll just go in and hide, inspect and part of the plugin code that I want to hide, and then I just add some CSS to hide that particular element from the plugin, whether it's a support link or the plugin's brand logo or something like that. I just hide all of that stuff in CSS, and then that takes care of it. The cool thing is with KeyPress UI Manager is you can hide different parts of the screen only for your subsite users, so that when you log in as the super admin, you still have access to all that stuff. So in case you do need to follow those links or see something there, you can, and then you can just hide it in the CSS for your users using the rules in the UI Manager plugin. So that's kind of cool. So those are basically the three main things that you should be paying attention to when you're trying to choose a plugin for your WaaS. And that it's multi-site compatible, that it's simple enough for your users to be able to kind of self-teach themselves how to use it with minimal support from you. And number three, minimal branding and external links and stuff like that that the plugin injects into the WordPress dashboard. So there you have it. I'd love to hear from you guys what you look for in a plugin for your WaaS. Is there anything that I missed? Is there something that you think a plugin should have when you're considering it for a WaaS platform? What are your favorite plugins that you use for your WaaS? I'd love to hear about it. So leave a comment below this video and let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for